"God is dead and we have killed him" is the most famous and controversial phrase from Friedrich Nietzsche, but it is that phrase that laid the groundwork for Nietzsche's most dangerous philosophy and idea, which was the philosophy of the Ubermensch, or in English, the superhuman. In this video, we're going to cover Nietzsche's guide to becoming the Superman or the Ubermensch, why pain creates happiness, and why this philosophy is dangerously misunderstood. 1. Steps to becoming the Ubermensch. In Nietzsche's mind, now that God is dead, it is up to humans to create a new set of morals and values to live by, because we cannot keep following the word of God when there is such a deep lack of faith in society, as he feared by society not actively seeking out a new set of strict morals to live by, it will give way to nihilism, or as he calls it, the last man, which is a man who does nothing but seeks their own pleasure and sees no purpose in life, yet continues to live anyway. They can't see more than 2 days in front of them and take no interest in shaping their own future or striving towards any grand goal. This can obviously be applied to women as well, however in Nietzsche's work he does refer to it as the last man, and in his mind this is the worst type of person you can create, and these people will create the worst type of society. And so in fear of this type of person taking over Europe and then the world, in his book Thus Spake Zarathustra, he created a step-by-step guide to following his Ubermensch philosophy, and the steps are as follows. Step 1. Becoming the camel. The camel is strong enough to bear all the challenges of the world and are willing to undertake the hard tasks. This is what Nietzsche saw as the baseline for what humans need to become in order to transform into the Ubermensch. The first shift that people need to make is to become someone who not only is willing to overcome hardship and have strong resilience, but also become someone who seeks out hardship and after overcoming one obstacle, immediately looks for the next one, therefore developing the mind and spirit of a camel. However, what the camel lacks is creativity, so that they aren't bothered to move on from the old moral values and seek new ones, which leads us to phase 2, which is the transition from the camel to becoming the lion, as the lion rejects the values of others and rather listens to their own will. They have the strength of the camel and now have the willingness to ignore the old morality judgments and set out on a new path. So this is the phase where we know we want a new way of living and are no longer willing to abide by the old moral values of the past. However, the lion isn't able to dream up a new set of values despite knowing that they want them. So that's what leads us to the third and final phase in Nietzsche's roadmap to becoming an Ubermensch, which is the transition from the lion to the child. As the child's essential properties are both creativity and innocence, and now that the lion has created the space for the creation of new values, the child gets to use their innate creativity to come up with them. So this is the phase where we now have the character of someone who seeks hardship and is tough enough to overcome it. We are also no longer listening to our morals of the past and are actively seeking to listen to our own individual wills. And now we also have the creativity to come up with a new set of morals to change the way society functions moving forward. This, in Nietzsche's mind, is when we reach the Ubermensch status. In Nietzsche's opinion, this is the exact type of person that everyone should be striving to become now that God is quote-unquote dead. However, when it comes to these steps, it remains unclear whether he meant this as a guide on how we can become an Ubermensch ourselves, or as a guide for the work we need to do to allow the next generation to become the Ubermensch. As possibly what he meant by these 3 phases is that one generation works to become the camel, which lays the groundwork for the next generation to become the lion, which lays the groundwork for the next generation to become the child, which of course in turn lays the groundwork for the next generations to be of Ubermensch status. Number 2. Ubermensch happiness. What seems to be misunderstood in the characterization of the Ubermensch is that it is portrayed as some fierce, strong, big person that looks to just dominate in every field of existence. However, there were plenty of big, strong guys in Nietzsche's generation, and it wasn't quite what he had in mind when creating the idea of the Ubermensch. While yes, the Ubermensch is strong and preferably physically fit, it is also about being spiritually strong and using using both the mind and body as a vehicle to ultimate joy and happiness. Because in Nietzsche's opinion, a person who seeks hardship willingly and works hard to overcome that hardship is going to feel much more fulfilled and happier than someone who solely seeks pleasure and enjoyment. Because it is important to remember that he came up with the Ubermensch philosophy when he was seeing a rise in young people constantly seeking pleasure and living a hedonistic lifestyle. Now, if Nietzsche saw that people seeking pleasure was resulting in them feeling pleasure and ultimately feeling happiness, then he would have never seen a need for the Ubermensch philosophy. But it was due to him seeing the exact opposite effect that led to his radical idea, as Nietzsche saw that these young people were not happy and were also treating others badly as a result of their unhappiness. So while yes, the Ubermensch is a strong physical specimen, it is more so a philosophy to create joy and happiness, more so than just pure power and strength. And this is a key misunderstanding which has led to Nietzsche's philosophy being dangerously misinterpreted. Number 3. The dangers of misunderstanding the Ubermensch. The Ubermensch philosophy is probably one of the easiest philosophies to manipulate and dangerously misinterpret to fit your own narrative, and that is due to its nature of being about a strong person who seeks hard tasks and seeks to dominate. And if you stop the philosophy there, it can be hard to draw the connection between that and the creation of joy and happiness, and it can seem like a philosophy that is purely about dominating everyone and everything. And so what we end up seeing play out in today's society is where people use this philosophy to justify their seek for power and dominance, not for their own fulfillment and happiness, but more so they can fulfill their own hedonistic pleasures. It's really quite ironic that the concern that led to Nietzsche's creation of the Ubermensch has somehow been the very thing that people use the Ubermensch philosophy to achieve. In Nietzsche's fight against hedonism, he created a guidebook on how you can create more hedonistic opportunities for yourself in the world. And I think we've all seen this play out on the internet, and whether or not people know they're taking Nietzsche's philosophy, or they've just gathered this information from other people, all roads lead back to Nietzsche's original philosophy of the Ubermensch and the dangers of misinterpreting it, and how that has caused a massive chain effect into many different people living out the Ubermensch philosophy, not in its entirety, but in a pretty nasty way. And so to end the video, I do want to say that it's important to know that there are plenty of reasons people are for or against the philosophy, and I advise many of you to read the countless great books or videos detailing the pitfalls and dangers of a philosophy like this being implemented in the world. But as always, make your own mind up about it, and take what you like and drop what you don't. And let me know your thoughts about the philosophy down below in the comments. And if you liked the video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all on my next video.